Baylor is set to hire a new defensive lines coach. It will be Inoke Breckterfield. I want to go over his background. He's 46 years old, from Honolulu, Hawaii. He played at Oregon State as a defensive end from 1995 to 1999. And he's currently like second all time in tackles for loss and sacks. And he played in the Canadian Football League from 1999 to 2003. But the first two seasons with the Toronto Argonauts, and the last two, last three seasons, like 2001, 2002, 2003, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he helped them. Winnipeg Blue Bombers win 12 straight games, which is tying a CFL record at the time, and franchise best, 14-4, and get to the Grey Cup final. And he started his coaching career as a volunteer assistant in 2006 and became a GA at Oregon State in 2007, 2008. Like 2006, by the way, was at Oregon State as well. So I apologize if I didn't mention that already. Then he went to Weber State as defensive lines coach in 2009. 2010, he was at Montana as defensive lines coach. 2011, he was at UCLA as defensive lines coach. Then he was at Pitt from 2012 to 2014 as defensive tackles coach. And he went to Wisconsin from 2015 to 2020. And he actually joined Clark Lee's inaugural season as defensive tackles coach in 2021. And 2022, up to this past year, he was at Washington. And we all know how good Washington was when you look at it. I mean, they were runners-up in the national championship game this past year. And he was defensive lines coach. And he did help Washington. Because their rushing defense was 11th in the Pac-12 and 108th in the FBS 1 year before. And then it jumped to third in the conference and 25th in the nation. And additionally, they improved from 98th in the nation in team sacks to 20th. So that's improvement. And we all know that Kalen DeBoer left Washington for Alabama, and Breckterfield was hired briefly at San Diego State earlier this year when Kalen DeBoer retained the Alabama defensive line coach Freddie Roach to his staff upon his arrival in Tuscaloosa. So he had to go somewhere else. Yeah, and all this. But I knew once the first report came out that San Diego State then hired another defensive lines coach. So that made a lot of sense, and they're probably just dotting their I's, crossing their T's with this and getting contract negotiations. And I knew it was just taking some time, but you gotta double check everything because we don't want to have to make the site aim higher again. Because remember, with the guy before Mateos, that guy had a background problem. If y'all recall that guy's name. But I'm just saying, it's important to look at everything. And we all know that he was actually at Wisconsin, and he posted 50 on the staff 56 and 19. He went to 3 New Year's 6 bowl games, and they won 5 bowl games and 3 Big Ten West division titles in his tenure. And the Badgers defense allowed an average of 16.6 points per game and 107.7 rushing yards per game. And in 2020, he directed a defensive line that limited opponents to 299.9 yards per game allowed, which was the fewest in the Big Ten, and 96.1 in rushing yards per game allowed, the second lowest in the conference. And they finished third in the Big Ten defense and scoring. And he rebuilt the Badgers' depth up front in 2019, around a defensive trio in Isaiah, Loudermilk, Garrett Rand, and former walk-on Matt Henningsen. So, and they did, and combined with freshman nose tackle Kenu Benton to rack up 17 tackles for loss, and 10 of the Badgers school record 51 sacks with the nation's second best total. So, in his first year at Wisconsin, he helped build the nation's top defense and number one in scoring defense, number two in total defense in 2015. And we all know that Dave Aranda actually was at Wisconsin prior to LSU. So he was very familiar with this guy. Yeah, just only for like 1 year, because then he went to LSU the next year. But you get the whole point here. And he developed a deep defensive front line for the Badgers 3-4 defense, which was anchored by defensive ends Alec James, Kiki Abashi, and Connor Sheehy, who became the part of the winningest class in school history with a 4-year record of 45-10. And James and Sheehy were second team All Big Ten selections in 2017, contributing to a unit that won a school record 13 games while finishing number 2 in nationally in total defense and number 3 in scoring defense, number 3 in rush defense, and number 1 pass efficiency defense. And we all know that he actually coached eventual All-Pro Aaron Donald, a unanimous All-American in 2013, and a first-round pick in 2014 NFL Draft. And he was named the ACC Defensive Player of the Year and won the Nagurski Trophy, Bernard Trophy, and Lombardi Trophy, and Outland Trophy. So this guy knows how to develop guys and get them to the next level and get them better. So this is already a good hire as it looks right now. And we all know that he, like I said, he went to UCLA in 2011, and the Bruins played in an inaugural Pac-12 championship game in the Kraft Hunger Bowl that season, and he was at Montana in 2010, like I said in his background, and they led the Grizzlies led the Big Sky and ranked nationally 14th nationally in tackles for loss per game with 7.6, and stood as second in the league and 18th nationally in sacks. And that year prior, before his arrival, they were 103rd and 88th in those categories respectively. So, as you could tell, this is a very good hire. Especially this late in the game when you lost Dennis Johnson, who has been part of that Baylor staff since year one under Dave Aranda. But I will say, the last few years with Dennis Johnson has been disappointing in terms of on the field. And I get the recruiting aspect of it, but I believe in Inoke Breckterfield. I really believe in him based on his track record. And here's the thing about Dennis Johnson. The last 2 years have been disappointing on the defensive line when you look at the numbers. Ever since that 2021 year, they took a step backwards. So, I think it was probably for the best to start fresh. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens on this hire, and I know this is a big year for Dave Aranda, because he has to make at least a bowl or he's out of the job, as we all know. Or he could get fired during the season, which heaven forbid that happen, but you never know. I'm just saying, because if Baylor does get to a bowl or better, this staff right here will be retained. And now the staff for Baylor football has been complete. And thank goodness, because we all know spring ball is coming around the corner. And now Inoke Breckterfield needs to have those relationships with those players now, especially on the defensive line. And as you could tell, this dude is highly qualified based on his track record. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. On the road to 600 subscribers, of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. So maybe might not discourse like a video, comment video really helps YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people could watch. And if you're watching and not subscribe, hit subscribe button. It's ring the notification bell as well.